Okay, welcome to level 2. So level 2, we're going to start with what I call a guitar gate fundamental, which is octave shapes. Octave shapes are the building blocks of everything we're going to do for the rest of this course. So guitar is not like piano, a linear instrument where things on the left are lower, things on the right are higher. Guitar, since we have 6 strings and the notes repeat at certain intervals on those strings, you have naturally occurring shapes, right? And those shapes are built around octaves. If you remember, an octave is the same note, just higher or lower, as in 2 A's, right? So on guitar you have 5 shapes. Sometimes this is called the CAGED system, if you've ever heard of that. Basically, it means that every chord, every scale, every arpeggio, anything you can think of exists in 5 forms, no matter what it is. So if you memorize the forms, get used to them, you can memorize every portion of the neck. So it doesn't matter whether you're down here or up here, you'll be equally comfortable. You'll know your chords, your scales, your arpeggios, everything you need, right? So let's jump right in. Let's say I wanted you to play every C on the guitar. Would you know what to do? Well, you could sit here and figure it out, but the much easier way to do it would be to just know your shapes. So let's start with the shape number 1, which is built off of the C chord, thus the CAGED system. Each one stands for a chord that you already know, an open chord you've already learned. So for C, let's play our C major chord. We have 2 C's in this chord. You have the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and you have the 1st fret of the 2nd string. You hear those 2. This is pattern 1. And while it is C for CAGED, these are all movable shapes, so it doesn't matter what key you're in. So if you bump this up 2 frets, you're playing 2 Ds. That's pattern 1 D, right? 2 more frets, E, pattern 1 E. So move these around and get a feel for it. And remember, you also have open strings, right? So if you move this down a fret to B, you're playing the open B string, right? So when you're looking at these chord shapes, right, in the diagrams, realize these are movable and they still work with open strings. All right, let's go to the second one, pattern 2, or the A shape. If you look at A, you have 2 A's in this chord. You have the open 5th string and you have the 2nd fret 3rd string. Now again, since we have an open 5th string, when you go to move this, you're going to have to account for that open string. So use your 1st finger and either your 3rd finger or pinky to move the shape around. That's pattern 2. Now pattern 3 is built off G, a little squirrely. So if you go to G, you have 3 G's in this shape. 3rd fret 6th string, open 3rd, 3rd fret 1st. Because remember, since our 6th string and 1st string are both tuned to E, everything is always the same. So the 3rd fret's the same, right? But you have this open, 3 frets down to account for. So when you move this up, you're going to have a 3 fret stretch. So if you start with G and we go to A, that went up 2 frets. So since we started with the open string, we had to go up 1, 2 to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to be able to play that shape. And one thing that typically do is just bounce back and forth. That's pattern 3. Now pattern 4 is your E shape. If you play an E, you have 3 different E's or roots in this chord. The open 6th string, 2nd fret 4th, and open 1st string, right? So when you go to move this, you're going to have to count for these 2 open strings, again, on the 6th and 1st string. So you're going to do what you did with the F minor and G minor in your beginning chords. You're going to have to bar them with the 1st finger across all 6 strings. And then play the root or the octave on the 4th string with your 3rd finger. It can be kind of challenging at first, but eventually you'll get that 1st finger strong enough and you'll be able to bar across all 6 strings. Lastly, we have pattern 5, which is the D shape. So you play a D, you have 2 Ds. You have the open 4th string, the D string, and you have the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Again, when you go to move this shape, you have to account for the open string. So you're going to have a 3 fret stretch, and you're going to play that with your 1st finger and your pinky. Okay, so those are your 5 octave shapes. So how do we use them, right? Again, if we want to play every C on our guitar, let's find the lowest C, and then we connect our octave shapes up the neck to find all of our other roots. So where's the lowest C on the guitar? Right there, 2nd fret, 1st string. Or 2nd fret, 2nd string, rather. Lowest meaning over here, right? The lowest playable. So we know this is pattern 1, right? So when we go to pattern 2, take a look at your pattern 2 diagram. You're going to see that it also has a root on the 5th string. So we're going to put our 1st finger where our 3rd finger is and play that root. And then with our pinky or 3rd finger, reach to grab our next octave on the 3rd string, right? So this is pattern 2. Pattern 1 connects to pattern 2. And we're going to keep going up. Pattern 3. You're going to see pattern 3 has a root on the 3rd string. So put your 1st finger here, connect those roots, and then you're going to have to remember, this is that 3 fret switch, right? You might have to jump around if you can't hold them down. That's pattern 3. How about pattern 4? You see these two on the 6th and 1st? That's also in pattern 4. But in pattern 4, we're going to bar to get those, and then put our 3rd finger down to reach our next root on the 4th string. And next pattern 5, put our 1st finger where our 3rd finger is, connect, and reach to the 2nd string 3 frets up with our pinky to get pattern 5. And if you notice, this right here after pattern 5, it becomes pattern 1 again. And just like we went forward, we have to go backwards. Pattern 1, always connect your roots. Put your finger down where the previous root was you're trying to connect. Pattern 5, pattern 4, pattern 3, pattern 2, pattern 1. So let's pick another key, right? Let's do F sharp, okay? So where are your lowest playable F sharps? Down here, right? Your lowest playable. They're going to be right here on the 6th string and 1st string. So the question is, what's your lowest playable octave shape? And so if you look at your diagrams, you're going to see 2. There's always going to be 2 that contain the roots that you found at the lowest place, right? It's either going to be pattern 3 or pattern 4. It can't be pattern 3 because pattern 3 requires a 3 fret stretch below. And since we can only do 2 because of this nut, right, our lowest playable octave shape must be pattern 4. So pattern 4 is your lowest playable F sharp octave shape. So we start in 4 and we connect up and down the same way we did with C. Pattern 4. 1st finger where our 3rd finger is, pattern 5. 1st finger where our pinky is, pattern 1. 1st finger where our 3rd finger is, pattern 2. Now, up here, we can play pattern 3. And finally back to pattern 4. And remember, always go forwards and backwards. So that's octave shapes. And again, I can't express this enough. Octave shapes are the backbone of everything we're going to learn in this course. Every chord is going to be built off of them, every scale, every arpeggio. And if you learn those 5 patterns and memorize them and get quick with connecting them, you're going to absolutely unlock your neck. So for this video, pick 2 different keys and connect your roots with your octave shapes all the way up and all the way down, just like I did. Good luck, and remember, fall in love with octave shapes. They are the key to unlocking your neck. I'll see you in the next lesson.